Should you come to China to study? Don't do it. Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for being with me on this very awkward journey. But I'm getting the hang of it, I think, now. And yeah, let's get right into this video. Today we're going to talk about studying in China. And I'm just going to talk about the studying education part of it, not the lifestyle and everything. So my opinions are strictly based on the education system and what you should expect, as opposed to everything else. Full disclosure, I don't really have regrets about moving to China in terms of lifestyle, and just there's so many things I can say I appreciate about living in China. But when it comes to school, if I had known, I don't know. I might have considered it, but there's just a lot, and this is just my personal experience with it, so this is not the end all be all. I also got a few opinions from some of my friends who have studied or are studying here, so I'm going to mix it up a bit, and it's not just my opinion. I feel like I don't need to give you just my one-sided opinion of it. And yeah, I don't want this to be a long rant, but yeah. So the first thing I think you need to know about coming to China is there's different types of programs and there's different types of schools. First of all, make sure you understand, am I going to a fully Chinese system school, or am I going to a school that has a foreign language program and is foreign based? Like it's catered to international students better than just a regular Chinese school. So what I have is called a CSC scholarship, which is a Chinese government scholarship, and under this scholarship you get a lot of privileges. It's basically free. You get paid to study, right? But the caveat to this, because nothing is free in the world, is that when you do take this up, you're basically signing up to study in Chinese. I've heard of a few schools that don't fully teach in Chinese, even under this scholarship, but they're very few and far between, and I cannot give a recommendation on those because I don't know. But under my particular program, it's very, very hard and it's very strict because you have to learn in Chinese. Of course, they give you a year, or in some cases 2 years, to study your Chinese and get to a specific level of Chinese fluency. So with Chinese fluency, there's 6 levels, from level 1 to 6. 6 being you might as well just be a native Chinese speaker. And a lot of schools require either 4 or 5, and then there's top tier schools that require 6. But some will require you to get to this before you start your program, while others will require that you do it after you finish your program. So that's towards your graduation. And I guess those are better off as opposed to the ones where you have to do it before. So I don't know about that, but with my program I had to do it before. I had to get my HSK 5 before starting my program. And even with the HSK 5, it's very hard to assimilate into the classes because you're learning with in some cases, full Chinese class. Like my first year here, I was the only foreign person in my class, so it was a bit inconvenient. Of course, there's also other stereotypes that some people adhere to, others call it ignorance, but I experienced a few of those caveats in my first year in my particular school. It's just one of those things where you have to understand that you are the only foreigner in this group, and you have to work twice as hard to get the same grades because the teachers will not slow down for you. And half the time, if they do decide to notice you in the class, they will refer you to another student who half the time is also busy and might not just be willing to help you, because they're just not willing to help, because we're in college. Not everyone has the time to help someone else, and half the time we just don't care either. So there's a lot of stuff like that that happens, where the teacher will just brush you off, and then when the exam comes, it'll be hard and you don't know half the stuff that's going on. So you really have to work extra hard to be able to compete in that environment. I can honestly say you have to really be able to compete, and you have to put all the time and energy into doing it. Type of school that I know of is the language school. This is the one that I actually do recommend. If you want to come to China, I recommend you come and do a 1-year language or exchange program, because with those you at least get to see what you're getting into. Because some people come to China and after a month they're allergic to this and that, or they just don't want to assimilate, so they end up going back home after a year and a half, which I'll be honest, I did consider too. But I recommend that you come for a 1-year program, and after your 1-year program, then you can decide if you want to stay and extend it and actually do a bachelor or master's, or you go back to where you're coming from. Simple as that. The other one that I know of is where you do go to a school with an international college that accommodates foreigners. So your classes are basically going to be taught in English, and you learn at a different standard, of course. And most of these schools are foreign based, so they have a lot of foreigners in the campus already. So if you go to class, you'll be 14-50 international students all lumped in together. And for me, I think that is a really, really good way to go. So make sure you do research about the school that you're applying to. Also, I would say you need to look into the school's average grade. China has a grading system for their universities, so make sure you look that up so that you know what grade the school is. The higher the grade of the school, the more likely their requirements will be just as high. So I guess that's something that's all around the world, but just know that if you're getting into Harvard, you have to work like a Harvard student. So it's the same thing here. And universities like that here, I think Fudan is one of the really more famous ones, where their pass mark and just everything is insane. I think also Beijing Peking University, they have insane requirements. So make your choice, decide before and just make sure you do enough research, because doing the research will save you so much heartache, so much heartache. I've known several people that have dropped out of courses because it was just too intense and the school didn't accommodate or give a specific way around anything. The school was just full force ahead, and they didn't even bother to help the students. So I think do the research. One of the things I've heard so often is people struggling with their courses and teachers purposely holding them back. I've experienced this personally. One thing you should know is that China has a it has a policy that gives the school funding for the number of international students the school has. So in many cases, some schools will purposely hold an international student back just so they can keep getting government sponsorship. So if you find yourself in that situation, don't feel shy, report it, because you'll be here for years and years and you won't be able to leave even if you want to. So have that in mind. And I think those are my main gripes with it. Also, with regards to master's students, a lot of the complaints I've heard personally are that they don't give international students the same amount of help or assistance. Most of the ones I know have to do their master's program basically on their own, and they just have a supervisor in name just for the sake of saying, oh, I have a supervisor, but there's nothing that actually gets done. And with these, it's I really don't know where to place it, because it's a combination of, I don't know what master's programs involve, and as I don't know, a lot of my friends have had to go through this, and I think you need to understand that if you're getting into a master's program, you need to know what type of program you're getting to, and again, look into the school. Just look into the school, because a lot of their teachers only speak Chinese because they're catered to the Chinese student base, not the English student base or French or whatever other language you speak. You need to have a supervisor that helps you, but in most cases you don't get that. You just have a supervisor that's there in name, and they don't help you, and they show up during graduation when you have to present your thesis and stuff like that. So that's one of the main gripes that people have with it. So why you should why you should study in China is, I think it's an amazing opportunity to meet so many new people from extremely different walks of life, and just the opportunities are just insane. They're insane opportunities, and it's really a comfortable place. You will have a somewhat comfortable lifestyle, and it's one of those places where you can actually get away with having fun and still enjoying your college experience to a certain degree, because you know you have to balance your life out. But I would highly recommend it if it's something that you really want. There's extremely great opportunities, and even after you graduate, China is a place where you could start teaching and you would make so much more money than someone that's working in healthcare in some of our countries back home. So it's something that I would recommend, in the sense that there's opportunities outside of the school system. But with regards to the actual education you're getting in school, I highly recommend that you look into the school first, because you don't want to be either held back for no reason. You don't want to find yourself learning in an environment which is just solidly Chinese focused, because all my work is in Chinese. I learn in Chinese, I do my homework in Chinese, I do my exams in Chinese. So for me, the adapting process was crazy, but I did it. I'm not saying it's impossible. Right now I'm in my 3rd year and I'm almost done, you know. All I'd say is do your research and know what you're getting yourself into, and be ready to put in the work, because you will have to do a lot of self-teaching, which I understand happens all across the world, but you will have to push yourself, because this is a different language. I learned French, so you understand that with French there's some words that you would mix with English and French, and you would know like, hey, okay, this sounds the same and they might mean the same thing. Same with Spanish, I guess. Learning Spanish and English, there's that commonness with the language. With Chinese, we've all seen Chinese. We know what Chinese looks like. Each thing is different, and a single line can change a whole word. I kid you not. A single line can change a whole word. So you want to be sure that whatever program you're picking, it's something that you know you're going to push yourself to get through. But that's all I have to say on this topic, and thank you so much for surviving this video again. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to share and subscribe. Bye.